Everybody, welcome to another brand new episode of Because Cannabis. I feel like the music's a little loud there, Dustin Kava.
Oh, man. Give me a second.
Killing the intro, bro. That's the whole mode. I got to come in. We come in hot. I'm all like, welcome to the show. It's Because Cannabis. Follow us on YouTube and Spotify, you know, social media. On BC, that's Dustin, blah, blah, blah. Storytelling time. But it's all dependent on the pieces working, on having fine harmony between co-hosts, a production schedule. You have to have proper techniques, Dustin Kava. You are the music leveler, right? There's a term for that, right? You know it. There's a term for like what that is, lowering the music, changing it up.
Yeah, crossfading. And what do you make crossfading? Yo, it's the crossfade.
Dropping knowledge in the Because Cannabis podcast early on crossfade. You know what else crossfading is, Dustin? You know what the kids call crossfading today?
No, what?
Mixing your booze with your bud, doing a double B run, right? Hitting the weed, drinking a drink, getting your smoke on, getting your drink on, smoke a little smoke, drink a little drink, like Eric Church said. I don't know if you meant to do it together, but that's what the kids call crossfading these days. Kids, by the way, I mean millennial smokers, 21 and over. We're going to talk crossfading today, Dustin. Let's have a news.
Wait a second. Yeah. Crossfading. How did it break down from a joke about how shitty I was at our volume with Justin today to this is the new thing that kids are calling alcohol and cannabis? I mean, what?
Well, first of all, it's called a segue, and we're geniuses at what we do. That's why it sounded so smooth upon delivery. But it's just what terms called. Like, let's break it down. I can see it. We'll talk about the article. We've got an article today. We're going to do a news show, everyone, talk through a lot of current events, some things that are happening both here in Ohio, where Dustin and I live, and across the country here on the Because Cannabis podcast every Wednesday, 4:20 p.m. on YouTube, Thursdays with video on Spotify and anywhere that you listen to audio podcasts. Follow us at Meet WM socially, or Meet Wayward on Facebook, Dustin. We've had lots of great articles that we've been pushing through on our Facebook page at Meet Wayward, on our LinkedIn at Because Cannabis. Check us out. We'll put those links below in the comments. You can go through, catch up on the current news, maybe shit you didn't even know, Dustin, right? Like right in the social media feed.
You know what? I've been loving our news feed lately. It's been rocking with some pretty killer articles. And I still crossfading. What
hold
did
on.
You call it when you were young? I have to know.
Oh, what? I don't know if there was a term. We didn't have terminologies. You just drank and you smoked and you did what you did. Partied. Partied was the generic term, is what everyone called it. When you consumed without care in the world.
I don't remember any terms for cannabis and drinking, but man, everywhere I would go, there'd be like a local. You would find the guy who really liked liquor and the guy who really, really liked beer, and they each one would have the opposite statement, which was like, liquor before beer, you're in the clear. Beer before liquor, and now you're sicker. And then the next guy
was a lot of rhymes. I agree with you. We did have several rhymes similar of ilk of what you're putting out. I'd like to make up good stories, right? Good story building.
I wonder what the crossfade rhymes are going to be.
I don't know.
Cannabis before liquor, you get sicker.
That's like the same thing, but with the word cannabis in there. So no, I don't think that works at all. I can see where the designation comes. I think isn't getting faded. We should Google that. Getting faded. Is that believe what is a cool term for getting a little rocked and blitzed? And so if getting faded is getting a little bit under the influence, so now you're crossing the streams, you're Ghostbustering it, right? You're getting cross-faded. You're taking two forms of getting faded, combining that. It's like a faded collab is what it's happening within your body. But is it good for
right there?
Yeah, it's a double. Is it good for you? I think that's the question that some scientists have found out. We'll talk about crossfading in just a little bit. But first, Dustin, let's go a little more local right here in the state of Ohio. A couple of things happening here in Ohio. Ohio is long with New Jersey.
I just heard about this.
Ohio and New Jersey starting very soon. I believe it's March 4th here in Ohio, and then coming soon in New Jersey. March 4th, according to Ohio, from the newly named I watch a lot of post-apocalyptic sci-fi movies. In the division of cannabis control, the DCC would totes be an acronym that if I went into the future had become the overlords like Doofenshmirtz Incorporated and just taken over all of these places. The division of cannabis control. I tried to be overlord of that. I was denied. They got the dude that ran the Ohio liquor program. He's in charge of it right now. I came out strong for my candidacy, Dustin. It was not well received, or maybe no one even knew outside of our small but feverish fan base that we have. So right now, Dustin, you have to pay for your medical recommendation. And so from the doctor, and that, by the way, can range from anywhere from free to $300, depending on where you go. Let's just talk that right there. How much crock of Bravo Sierra is it that your medical card with just the right phone call or go to the right event, especially now there's lots of companies hosting these events, it can be free, but if you go on one of those websites that's just trying to hook you up, it can still be $300. We'll talk about the fee removal in a second, but just that variance of pricing probably pisses a lot of people off.
I mean, it did for me when it came to recommending people to go places. It was like, well, I paid $250, but if you didn't want to go there, you can go to this guy for $125. But I don't know, as if they were like some magical, like, oh no, you really want to like get the info from this company. They're fucking, it's going to be totally different than the info from this company. It's all crock. It was, I think it's weird.
Early on, everyone realized that there was a couple kinds of doctors. There was those who were legitimate, friend of the show, Dr. Bridget Williams, who will guide you and talk about cannabinoid and terpenes and how they may interact with your body. I'm really not talking well today. How they may interact with your body and some of the different profiles and strains and stuff you should consume or think about, or even product types. And then there are those who are like the old Johnny Carson bit, the Karnak, the magician, who's all like, you have chronic pain. Ba-bam. Here you go. Right out the door, whatever the fee is there. So you had that thing, which was really, I think, a struggle, especially early on. By the way, if you're listening now, just go to the internet, go to Eventbrite right now in Ohio. Basically, every large-scale cannabis MSO, anyone with major bucks, is sponsoring an event. And they're happening every 2 or 3 weeks where they are giving low cost or sometimes free cannabis recommendations out because the big companies want you to stay in the medical program and they know the numbers are dwindling. And so a big part of what happened in New Jersey and what is happening here in Ohio, especially with adult use, and we know, as much as people seem to misbelieve here in Ohio that adult use is going to be 15, 20, or medical, sorry, is going to be 15, 20% of the market. It's not. It's going to be below 10% because it always is. Hashtag facts count it. It's a long hashtag. Ohio knows this, and so they have to lower the fee. However, they're doing that old thing like where on your credit card, just to prove you're real, they're basically like, pay a penny, but you got to pay it. I think it's going to be via credit card. I would like to roll in there and be like, cha-ching, sir, here's my Abraham Lincoln on your desk.
I'm going to lick it in an envelope and send the 1 penny. The stamp costs more than what I owe.
Hell yeah. How you feel? Obviously, they're doing it to keep numbers up. Clearly, it's a good thing. Thoughts, good sir?
You're still... A lot of what we talked about before about how, getting the recommendation between $50 to $300. I like it that at least you can count on the state being a penny. I really, if it was only $50 or was $100, it's been so many years paying it. I feel like I paid. It was has it ever been $100 in Ohio from the state? I know that
it's always been 50. It was 50 at the beginning. It was the recommendations, and I believe early on, it was $300-400 from some of those over the phone, really kind of shystery.
I paid $300 for my first one. It was $300.
That's a common story. Yeah, it was usually like $275 or something, and it may be maxed out at $3 with the state, like $250 and $50. Something like that. But yes, it was around there. Although New Jersey, by the way, they didn't do the whole penny thing. They're just like, you can get it for free. And they were only $10. So shout out to New Jersey, which was only a $10 fee already for their card. And they're already like with their incoming legal cannabis in New York, like Jersey's numbers are going to go down. So right now. And look, you can download. How convenient! Like they have a good system to just download it straight to your phone. Good for you, Jersey, having an understanding of it. So Ohio's going to charge the penny for the new setup. I would imagine, and it says here it's the penny thing for now. Probably late fall, definitely next year. The penny thing will go away. It's a system issue, right? They're Y2K right now. They're stuck in a software development bug. Like they got a coder, didn't pass QA, hashtag coder life, whatever, something. So yes, they're stuck in trying to figure it out in the software. It's a software issue, but I don't have to renew till May. Can we do a quick shout out? Can I do a quick, not a shout out, a quick FYI for you medicinal patients out there that are listening? There could be, and probably are, 2 different dates for your medicinal recommendation as well as your Ohio renewal date. I have been in a lot of dispensaries recently, Dustin, and more than once, I have multiple times, I have seen someone come in who their recommendation is, or no, sorry, their
the
recommendation has not yet expired or something like that, but the other one has. So the state of Ohio has not expired. Sorry, it's still good because it's usually after the fact, but the doctor's recommendation has expired. And so you are no good. And I looked at mine are 2.5 weeks apart. So if I go in there thinking the second date, it's the first date. You have to make sure both dates are valid because you could get screwed on that issue there.
That's
oh, you got a picture of me for your iPhone? Oh, I'm so touched, Dustin Kava. I didn't know that. That's the case. I wasn't aware. Oh, I feel really good. Dustin's having some technical issues right now.
My camera.
Just as a reminder, I wanted to remind you how much he loves me by putting me up there. I like to know that you're thinking about me in that area. That makes me really, makes me really happy. Maybe Dustin Kava, maybe you have just been, are you doing a little you doing a little bit of both right now? Are you going through and doing? Are you crossfading right now? No. Yeah. Are you currently crossfading?
I feel like if I don't think I like. I don't know if I like mixing, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like if I smoke after drinking, then I end up getting dizzy, and if I drink after smoking, I think it's usually a pretty cool time for me. So I don't know.
How many people? That's totally random. Like we have zero factual evidence to back this up. I might Google this real quick while you're guessing. How many people do you think on percentage crossfade of like U.S. cannabis consumers? It's a big number, I know, but just like, do you think it's?
I think U.S. cannabis
closer to 10% or closer to 60% that when people smoke, they're also maybe consuming alcohol at the same time on the reg.
It's not like that. I think that smoking is an all-day thing when you're. It's the easiest one to self-medicate with all day, and so I feel like it's more of a matter of when they choose to do another substance with cannabis. It's normally going to be alcohol, like, I don't know. I think you're always smoking. So I don't know many people who still are on the 5 milligrams right before bed. I think they end up doing 2 milligrams in the morning, 3 milligrams in the lunch, like they consistently balance themselves with their use. And so at night when they get home, then to have a drink, I don't know. I don't drink often enough to really know this, actually.
I don't know either. So I believe where you're going with this in the fact that you have this people who consume cannabis. A lot of them consume cannabis the majority of the day, whether they do it for medicinal adult use, whether they're doing it adult use without knowing it's medicinal, that kind of vibe, right? But they're doing it both, right? And so alcohol is a thing they do probably more likely in the afternoon to evening time, though some of us rock and roll day drinking for life, hashtagging with all the cool kids, right? So, and you have days, right? And so the cannabis is always there. And so what that means is when the alcohol, it's an addition sometimes, but if you are drinking 1 beer a day, then you're having this experience every day. Or when you're binge drinking on the weekends, maybe you're consuming at the same time. So given that we know way more people drink than smoke, I think we can make a pretty safe assumption that the majority of people who smoke weed have consumed alcohol while consuming cannabis at the same time. because it's typically people consume cannabis are not typically. That's not true, actually. There are like, it's like 30% of the population is like a weekend, once a week kind of people. And I bet you those people do both over half. I bet you it's over half on the regular do it.
I think I've lived a luxury life now that we're fucking talking about this.
Ooh,
I
break
think
it down.
for the last, I don't know, 15 years, I've been in an industry where I got to blaze all fucking day. And I guess I didn't really think about the workforce and saying, like, maybe a lot of people don't
It's a don't
start
ask, don't
smoking.
tell in our industry. That's how I look at it. It's like, it's something, it's not unlike alcohol. You can smell alcohol on the breath and stuff. And I think when you're working in alcohol breweries and such, you can sample and taste, but it's frowned upon to overconsume alcohol on the spot. In the cannabis world, in my limited experience, but I think we've had a good taste of this industry in this show. We're well over 100 episodes. Thank you for those who have subscribed and followed. We appreciate it.
Thank
If you
all our
haven't,
guests. Thank you.
get up on it, hit that button, clickety clack, yo. I don't know why I get so aggressive with my weird accents when that happens. Hit it. I watch a lot of 90s stuff lately, so I'm very 90s inspired. So I think I think what happens is I don't know where I was going. I had a great point that I totally forgot what I was talking about.
What's your favorite 90s post-apocalyptic film?
Oh, I don't know. I'll tell you, I think you lean medieval and such for me. That's where I'm going. I'd be honest with you. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I can't really pick one. I'm not a good rememberer of details, clearly. Let's go back to our crossfading. That's otherwise before we get too down the rabbit hole. So we think a lot of people consume it. You know, what they're saying, though, and this was interesting, is that if you drink before cannabis, so let's think of a fun rhyme, because we know. So if you drink before cannabis, the THC will make you higher. That's the end result because your body is already dried out and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so drinking before smoking makes it toke. No, that's not good. So it's something that you got to put the two words together. If you know something, drop a comment below. Here's what we know. When you combine the two, especially alcohol first,
I do that.
makes
This
it worse.
happens with me.
Alcohol first. Well,
Exactly.
I don't think it's just you. I think it's a lot of folks out there. The result, it clearly says, is a stronger high. Might be nice for some folks. Some folks might want to green out. Oh, stop with your puns, folks. Stop with your puns. Green out for that. So that area. There's actually another article here. I'm going to share this one real quick while we're kind of on this same subject, Dustin, so there's this big term, dry January happens where people stop drinking. California sober, thanks to like Billy Strings and country stars and such. Shout out to Zoe, our friend Zoe out there, California sober. So that term is like, hey, I'm going to quit drinking, smoking weed. And we know that alcohol consumption, if you're on a hard quit, can be very detrimental to your health, like very serious, right? Very serious. Like if you go cold turkey from alcohol, if you're a heavy consumer, you can have serious like medical effects. All right.
Yeah.
But there was an article recently on Bloomberg, which kind of talks about that. And this is not shocking. And I think you're going to see this. And so I think people shouldn't freak out. But what do you think about the evidence that will continue to come out that says consuming cannabis, particularly in a smoking form, it may not be great for your lungs, right? Like it may not have it says so clearly. The article here is that a daily consumer probably has a slightly more higher chance of heart failure and heart issues because you're putting a carcinogen in the lungs. You're burning a thing and you're consuming that burn into it. So of course you are. But what happens is when these articles come out, people get really angry. And this is an article from Bloomberg.com. We'll put all the links below for what we're showing here on the screen. So what happens is when this news comes out and people say, well, you know, some parts of cannabis aren't wonderful, then the evangelists of the industry start freaking out like a SpongeBob brain on fire meme, going crazy, being like, weed is good, weed is perfect, weed is undeniably the best thing ever on the planet for you. Right?
Yeah, totally. It's really strange, actually. And we've talked about this so many times, but I wonder if... So what is that? Do they do that? Do they swing the pendulum so far to the other side so that when they meet in the middle somewhere, it's exactly where they actually wanted to be? Is it all like... they obviously, people know that they're full of shit sometimes when they say, well, how can this not be a problem? And I understand the arguments with those who can't get up and walk and have like specific things that it allows them to be able to do in their day to day. And if it's hurting their lungs, but allowing them to be an active parent or this and, or go grocery shopping or have a job, or I think that people outweigh that risk themselves. I mean, I don't know. Is that driving to work is probably more dangerous than the possibility I'm going to get or have a stroke from cannabis.
That is correct. I think we're correct on that. But I think we also can't just shrink it down to non-consequential because it's just something that can't happen. Because there are people who can smoke cigarettes all day long. We know people who are 100 years old who are like 2-pack-a-dayers, and those dudes are running marathons, and there ain't a hint of cancer in their body because they're country strong, right? They're just, you don't fuck with them in that way. So there's always that. But we are going to find negatives because we haven't been studied as much as these other things. Like there was a time when tobacco was sold on the Flintstones cartoon. So of course, at one point they weren't as worried about the health detriments. Shit comes out about it. I don't think it's as detrimental as cigarettes because people weren't consuming the tobacco plant, right? They were consuming a lot of fillers and carcinogen, fancy words that I clearly can't say right now. And those things, right? A lot of formaldehyde and shit. I mean, so you're not just consuming the tobacco plant. If you grew tobacco plant in your back field and rolled tobacco and smoked it, you'd probably have about the same effect as you would the cannabis plant, right? If it was just the tobacco plant, cigarettes are not, and cigars even, they're fillers in there. And the paper is another part of it, right? If you're just taking the tobacco and smoking it in an American-made, no foreign components. Don't get Dustin all started about all the foreign components.
I mean, a lot of those components are meant to get the nicotine into your bloodstream faster. So it's like, is it more of a rush or less of a rush to grow your own fucking tobacco? Because I mean, their job is to get you addicted.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think smoking just tobacco on its own would not be an unhealthy thing. Right? I mean, it would be as healthy as cannabis, if I'm being honest. I'm no scientist, clearly. But I think it would be, who Dustin's fucking with this camera right now during the show? Clearly having technical difficulties. Thank you, faithful listeners, sticking through us as we're talking a lot of news articles. We're going to talk, let's just move on since you're having a struggle here. I got to shrink your camera, make it a little smaller in that world. Not to that one. Bad right there. So talking about smoking, and one of the things, funny enough, back in the day, Dustin, especially me growing up, you used to be able to smoke, anywhere. You used to be able to smoke in restaurants. You used to be able to smoke in planes. My dad had like ashtrays in their college desks. I see the pictures. I mean, teachers and students all smoked in the classroom at the same time, right? Like it was a very common thing, but then eventually secondhand smoke. But once again, I think let's be real. We're not talking just tobacco. You're talking secondhand smoke from chemically filled products, right? That have a variety of enhancements designed to make it taste better, designed to have the addictive qualities and things. And those are the chemicals that are worse, but including, you shouldn't sit next to a fire, right? So we've gotten rid of smoking in a lot of states, but good old Nevada, you're still doing it there. So consumption lounges in the cannabis industry, which everybody thinks are smoking lounges, really are probably going to be drink and edible lounges. But here we go. Officially in Vegas, opened just this February of 2024. The politician that helped pass it smoked a joint at 4:20 p.m. We love our puns in this industry. And now what's it called here? Smoke and Mirrors. First off, how we feeling the brand on that? Let's go. Hold on. You say that. I'm going to find their website.
Smoke and Mirrors.
Smoke and Mirrors is the name of Vegas's first consumption lounge.
It sounds more like a strip joint than a cannabis.
It does lounge. A little bit. All right, here we go. Let's check out their branding. Oh my God, Dustin. Here's who's never going to be a sponsor of us, Smoke and Mirrors, because you do look a little bit like a strip club right now. I see they got the
I can't believe it became the first lounge, because I really thought like a Planet 13 or some huge conglomerate of a company was gonna
I'm over 21. Oh, we got the smoke. Enough with the smoke things. Is that what is this supposed to be a smoky font? I don't know.
It looks like that 90s 3D like text that we used to have a lot.
Website's not got a lot happening here. Or maybe it is. Let's
Maybe
check
all
out
you
their
need to do is
Instagram. We're going to go on their Instagram to Smoke and Mirrors, guaranteeing us never getting a sponsorship. Here's what's happening. Smoke and Mirrors,
like,
not exactly popping, right? And I mean,
I'm
look,
all
we got
about those
95.
couches, though.
Oh, that looks dope right there. Like, I would like to, I bet you these cocktails, I bet you those are getting you rocked. They're probably taste delicious, some Warren Bobro stuff, and getting you just rocked and rolled. Here we go. Here's the vibe.
I can dig it.
I'll give him a little love there. Right there's the vibe kind of thing. You got the couches, a little retro vibe to it. Not exactly, you know.
I feel bad for talking about their logo in the way I did. I think that it actually
does
like a very nice fucking place, man.
The first controversial thing we said, we got to stick with it.
Dude, I just want to look at these couches, man. They are so hip.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm so jealous.
Are you going to the consumption lounge?
Let
me start there.
Yes,
let's just talk that model.
Person, I am. I love Vegas
because we're not going to be allowed into Smoke and Mirrors. They're going to have pictures of us on the door. Like I hope, by the way, if you're listening to Smoke and Mirrors, ban us because I want to go on an Instagram fueled cannabis fueled rant about how you banned us from entry into Smoke and Mirrors. SmokeandMirrorsLV.com. Check them out if you're in Vegas. Because you might be listening right now. Go smoke. I bet you it's way more drinks than it is smoking. I don't think people are smoking in consumption lounges. But that's what they want to do.
Well,
but
why? Okay, why?
Because it's illegal in most states.
But if pre-rolls are the fucking thing that everybody's going with, why isn't that the thing that they're going to go with when they go to a place like that?
Because how do you get around the smoking laws? Like it's illegal to smoke cigarettes. So ergo, it would be illegal to,
it's not illegal to smoke cigarettes in a private place. I mean, they have cigar lounges.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So like if it's, I feel like people don't necessarily need a lounge to drink an edible or eat an edible and drink a drink. They could fucking do that like they could do it at the dispensary in 30 seconds and throw it away and walk down the strip, like it's so a lounge is, I just think
more coming. There's about 19 in the works following this already.
I don't know. I love the idea of a lounge, though, especially in Vegas. I do think that like you should be able to smoke and gamble at the same time. So there's something about.
So if you read on screen, so basically this is the issue they're fighting. And this is why Ohio will struggle because of the smoking in the room laws of just public space consumption, right? You can't be a private lodge thing. They're going to look past that, right? That's what they're trying to avoid. So to be like a bar, which can serve alcohol and you can't smoke, there's certain ventilation standards. So they had to fight the, industry stewards in Vegas and Nevada, probably, and probably some national folks are fighting, said, hey, we got to change ventilation settings and things like that. But I think in general, even the consumption lounges that are opening, I bet you their focus, because its profit margin is going to be in drinks and food. Because that's where you make way more money than flour. Flour to flour is a tiny profit margin. Flour to sugar-filled yumminess is a much higher profit margin.
Then I think the largest consumption lounges are going to end up being concert venues. Like open field concert venues with 10,000 people. I mean, I don't know. But I do think Vegas needs a place off of the strip where people can go for a little bit, spend a little money, smoke. I just worry that you're not going to be able to bring in your own cannabis. You have to buy their cannabis to consume there. And that just makes it
that's how you make money. Like, so here's the issue with the consumption lounge. How do you make money? We've had this conversation before, but that's what we're trying to say. Well, how do you make money in a consumption lounge? It's got to be in the products you sell. You can't allow them, other than what you're saying is the venue. You have artistic events, musical events, stage events, and you allow people to bring their own in. You make it a consumption-friendly facility, but now you got to sell overpriced drinks and hot dogs and merch to make up for the fact that people are buying the highest profit margin. You get way more profit on weed than you do on hot dogs, right? And so you know what's going to happen? You know how those venues are going to make money? Crossfading motherfuckers. They're going to sell tons and tons of beer and booze. Then those people are going to smoke and they're going to crossfade all up in there. That's how they make money. Crossfading. You're welcome, listeners. That was a full story round. You know who didn't make money? Dustin Calvas. We're talking lots of cannabis news articles today on the Because Cannabis podcast. Brand new episodes every Wednesday, 4:20 p.m. And Thursdays on Spotify and anywhere that you listen to video. You know who didn't make a lot of money? The state of California didn't make recent money. So here's kind of the rundown on this article as a whole, right? So California had all these dispensaries who are in violation of like IRS, C480E. And so basically they had all these back taxes, $15 million between all these different, dispensaries, these formally licensed dispensaries. So they went in there, stole up all their stuff, seized all their weed, seized all their devices. And so the cannabis they typically destroy when they do these. They don't usually consume it, obviously, or give it away or sell it like they do here. They destroy it. And so they took all this property, right? And there's a list here. They had all these pipes and bongs and couches and chairs and like all those stuff that we saw that Smoke and Mirrors could have bought. They could have probably, maybe they're the only ones that went there. Maybe they paid the only money they made from all this stuff that they took from 10 dispensaries. Because once again, ancillary sales is tiny in the business. They only made $2,000. They made $2,100, just over $2,000 was all they made to kind of settle these back taxes. Showing here that they had glass pipes, bongs, TVs, office supplies, things like that.
This sounds like such a fucking.
You could have got a dispensary in a box basically for like $400.
Wow, and it makes me feel like someone just forgot to hit post on the auction listing and just like showed up and was the only one. He's like, I don't know why no one's here to bid higher than my $2,000. Like how does that?
I should say 9 of these were illegal operations, by the way, and one of them was a legal operation. So it wasn't like they were raiding illegal ones. There was one legal that had a lot of back taxes. The other ones were illegal and they Al Caponed them. They didn't bust them on selling illegal weed because that's super hard to do. They busted them on selling illegal weed and not claiming legal taxes. So really, there's the license. There's the lessons, folks. You don't need to do the initial paperwork with the state because they're going to be like, fine, just pay the government. That's all they care about. Just pay the government. Open up your doors. Just make sure you pay Uncle Sam and they'll leave you alone.
Dude,
I mean, every time.
As much as I want to laugh about this sometimes, I think that this seizure of property for cannabis has just been outrageous forever. And some way we got to be able to like have that conversation of like, just because there's weed in my car doesn't mean you get to keep the $5,000 in my wallet, cop. Or fucking, I just feel like it's so easy to try to for people to take people in a position of power to take. So I don't know. I think,
but I also better or worse knowing that they were unlicensed ones. Like they had not gone through. They're selling cannabis. They're selling.
I don't know because I think that term is so fucking vague and it's of itself. It's like, were they in the process? Was the process, canceled for 3 months because of some paperwork filing and they came in and fucking ripped them out? It was their chance, or was, why in the county were they not being processed in the same way that all these other people get to around that? I don't know. And so I want to believe that the system is working itself out. And I believe, I do believe that if anybody had a head start figuring shit out, it's California. But I also wonder, they said 10 stores was what all these pipes were. In my mind, when you like, sometimes you give me a brief idea of the article beforehand. Sometimes you just fucking throw one on me and ask me, and you said something, I didn't realize that it was 10 shops, and I wonder how fucking, I don't know.
It was 10 stores in that. And so what they did was they had 10 stores, 9 of them were unlicensed. And that's a great point about what does unlicensed mean, right? They could just be fucking with them a bit. One was a licensed one, and they all busted on tax evading, right? And it's how they get them. And so what they did, and this may have been the issue, is basically you had to bid all or nothing on it. You couldn't get individual items. So you couldn't grab some sweet illicit glass if it was available inside that store. You had to go ahead and just get, whatever they had from probably overseas, not some quality American made products like illicitglass.com. So they get these, you had to buy the whole shop basically. So I think there were 10 like dispensaries in a box, for lack of a better term. Either way, you got to figure there's a bunch of cannabis folks out there that would just check it out. The fact that they could only make 2,000 is kind of funny. Here's an interesting stat.
It seems
by
like
the way,
fraud. It doesn't seem funny.
Well, you know
I think
why?
The F word is fraud. There's no way that if 4 people showed up to it, they still would have assumed, like, so what does it go? The starting bid on this auction is we're going to start this at
I could only hope.
$100,000, or, you know, like the guy has to start he doesn't start it at 0. I don't think that, you know, I think they value it and then go up from there. I don't think an auction house is going to be like, let's just start at 0. You know, no, not buying a house for $2,000. They're going to say this house is starting at 60,000. Who got 60 and try, you know, do you think they waited 2 hours for the auctioneer to get down from 2.20 million that they were expecting?
Win through attrition. It's my style.
And they just like, the guy finally sneezed at $2,000. He's like, sold.
Oh, shit, I didn't mean to buy that. Check out the name here, by the way. If we're talking good post-apocalyptic names, the Unified Cannabis Enforcement Task Force, the UCEF. Bro, I can only hope that they have like green and brown, like ganja colored clothing with really, you know how stoners do it, all cannabis leaves, but they have the big UCEF. And of course, it's in like a weed camo, I hope, in there. And so they don't have like all black when they roll in, right? And they got like, they roll it in like, you know,
Hawaiian
VW bugs. Yeah, VW bugs and kind of things. The UCEF, and they wrote bucket hats for sure. They got some bucket hats up in there. Crocs, bucket hats. They got Crocs in there, but they're like, I just want to know what the UCEF, like what their uniform. When you know there's a bunch of stoners and they roll in, they're like, psh, they're like, oh shit, it's a UCEF, bro. Hide your weed. So here's what happened. The UCEF established 1 year ago. The complete totalitarian, you know, anti-establishment, but totally establishment. 1 year has, in your words, stolen, in their words, seized. You know, we can have semantics over that word right there. 190,000 pounds or $312 million of product. They're obviously taking product, reselling it. They had another cultivator that they, in your words, probably blackmailed, in their words, forced to pay $750,000 agreement over environmental violations, right? Is this so? As part of so they are out there. The UCEF, bro. Be on the lookout. I want to bring, maybe I can't be overlord of the DCC, Dustin. Maybe you and I. Because we'll do it better. We'll be like nice cop, or like the Doug and the Emu on those Liberty Mutual commercials. Like we'll have shtick about us. We'll dress up cool. We'll have Crocs and bucket hats for sure. It would be like the UCEF of Ohio. Me and you, bro. Me and you for life. We'll have stakeouts outside.
We were wrong about the drone wars. They're not going to be drone wars between cultivators. It's now the UCDEF. Fucking.
Right, that's the whole thing right now. I think it's going to be the UCEF is going to be really the ones who kind of take it. We'll be hanging outside. I think a stakeout for like the UCEF is like ideal, right? You list a lot of details for sure in that. Could you stake out? Could you be like a stakeout person? Would you be able to sit in for hours and hours and hours and just watch something?
You see how much I fidget around all the time, or
be
how
terrible
much I'm going to
we
grab,
would, neither one of us
stake
out. We'd have to smoke a little smoke in there. We don't really actually, you know, it's funny, Dustin, given all the time we talk about smoking weed, we don't actually smoke and consume cannabis that often together.
I know, man.
You ever think about that? Like, we really don't. Sometimes break the fourth wall here. We'll consume before we go on the air. Do that so we can watch each other on video do it. Yeah, take that every way it sounds. But we don't always like in the same room. We're not puff passing often. Probably shouldn't these days with COVID and shit recently. So, but we don't do that as often or even in the same room. It makes me sad.
I know. You know what?
It's a social thing, right? Maybe that's why consumption lounges, people want them, right? Socialness.
I think that's a great point. I think that's part of what cannabis has been missing out on the last. Okay. Fuck. I'm contradicting myself as I'm fucking saying the words. I'm like, maybe that's why fucking, you know, that's the problem with the cannabis industry right now is it's not sociable enough. But I'm like, no, maybe this is just what it looks like with a market expanding. I mean, you were social because you had to be social. You know, you couldn't get it as frequent. It wasn't, you know, like, it just the process of it was different. And so now that the common anybody can just walk in and get it, even the 14-year-olds with the Delta 9, Delta 8 shit, you know, like
derived D9, of course, they know. And crossfade.
I don't know, man. I just think that maybe that's what an expanding market is it now supposed to look different than what it did for the last 15
It's the
years.
Acceptance of mainstream. I think cannabis fights mainstream. I think the companies that accept it are going to win. I think cannabis fights it. They try to stay true to the culture because it's a lot of cannabis folks. But it depends on your definition of winning, right? You can have good values or you can sell a lot of weed. It depends on your definition of winning. Both can happen. But it's going to be hard, right? Because it's going to be about cost. And there is a reality I come to sometimes being around a lot of consumers is that people just want to smoke. Like they are not as caught up in all the shenanigans that we talk about at every show. We talk to all the ownerships. When you talk to 50 patients, 100 and 200 patients a week, they're just buying weed. Like I talk terpenes and they sometimes like, yeah. There is the occasional who loves to geek out, right? And I'm always like, would you rather, let me ask you this. This is a total sidetrack. Would you rather smoke weed with someone who doesn't smoke weed regularly, who's all about it? Or would you rather smoke weed sometimes with someone who's newer to the scene? Maybe not their first time because no one wants that responsibility. But they're comfortable, but they're not an overall consumer and they just want to like chill and they don't want to talk that. Or do you like to, because I think about what these industry events are going to turn into. It's going to be a bunch of people like slightly high now because you can consume more. And now they're going to be talking about the science of weed. And sometimes I want to smoke with, like, I don't know if there's a select, I don't want to smoke with someone who's like just chill, right? And has fun about something. And the cannabis is not a part of it. You know what I mean?
I guess
I'm part of the conversation. It's just a thing I'm doing. Like,
I like that. I mean, I think that is that's the Goldilocks area, I think to smoke with expectation of something happening because you're smoking is like, that's a
fucking smoke with expectations. That's a good
name. I can't, I'm not that guy. I also don't be like, I need to smoke before this concert because it's going to enhance it. I think again, I'm just like, where is it the easiest place for me to smoke? I pregame, but I pregame because I pregame and after game and during game, and there's no time where there isn't a smoke. So what the fuck? Of course I'm gonna.
I don't know. It adds excitement to the moment. I like to make that moment be its own individual. So then
you get excited for the walk into the stadium to get the cup of beer.
Sometimes,
or do you?
I'm an experience guy. I like the experience. I appreciate the value of what everyone went through to make an experience. I don't have this article, but I just read this article about some Willy Wonka fair that was put on in like Sweden or somewhere, Switzerland, I think. No, Scotland, finally. Garrett, one of those S countries. And it was like a total dud. Like people are all mad because they basically put up some like candy canes and lollipops. Like experience matters. You can sell. They were going to sell these tickets. There's a place around here that just sells Christmas all the time. Just pay money to walk in and look at Christmassy things. People pay money for the experience of what they're doing. And I don't know if cannabis long-term, if people are going to pay money because of all the science behind what they have. They want to pay for the experience they're going to feel. So the companies that are marketing by emotion, that are putting, shout out Chew and Chill, great name. It's the most simplistic thing ever. I just had some of there and they're all the way. They got Chew and Chill plus vitamin B, Chew and Chill plus CBG. It's super simple. Take a bite, relax, chew and chill, right? Great name, easy concept, but it's not selling. They sell beautiful flavor profiles with normal ingredients like vitamin, B12 enhancements. And the weed part is teeny tiny on the label. Like it's small on the label and they've become a big brand. You're always going to have your weed heads, your stoners who are going to love your terp profiles. But I think the embracement of normalcy in mass market, it has to happen.
But how does that exactly? That just seems it just seems like common sense. It doesn't seem like you should be banging down the doors of these cannabis companies telling them that. It just seems obvious, and not because data has shown it's obvious. It seems obvious because it's the same thing that is like in almost every other market of almost every other market.
It's the sellout feature. It's the Green Day vibe. No one wants to go mainstream per se because it takes away some of the coolness. And so I think you have that in the OG world. I also think you have people in any business. No one likes to be told that they could do better, right? I very much have and enjoy like a lean philosophy, this kind of quest for ultimate perfection. I know there's a better way to do it. I appreciate that vibe. It can sting when you like break down post show, you send me texts and you tell me all the shitty things I did during the show.
He does it every show. I have never.
I don't know what we'll get one today. I I don't know. I think people fear change, and I think people fear change. I think cannabis wants to be cooler than it is for the mass market, right? I think that's the other part. I think the customers are beginning to, once you go with mainstream, people accept it, and they don't have to. You don't have to justify the cannabis, right?
Well,
Beer's not selling.
I don't
beer is like
there's not a time anymore. Okay, how about this? You're at a concert or a venue of some kind, and you're trying to get your cannabis on. You're trying to get up to the counter and buy it so you can go and use it, right?
Like, get my cannabis on.
There is no fucking time to be like, this cannabis was specially made in this soil with this type of water, and it was rubbed on fucking Wednesdays and Fridays and spoken to in Latin on Saturdays for a fucking 9 months.
I want to sell the Latin. I want to sell the Latin opera weed. Opera weed, dude. I could totally sell.
No, they're like, yo, this is the lowest quality denominator. I don't need to fucking tell it.
Roll out the pre-roll.
Get the hell out of here. Grab it.
Grab that $6 0.3 gram disposable of distillate filled goodness and cherry banana pie apple smoothie sundae. Love it. Like, that's what they're doing. They're taking, you're buying the pre-roll. It's got a bunch of words on the container. You're just like, pop, roll, right? Everyone's like, and then maybe you are like, hey, this has got an infused pre-roll, because we know those are big, but no one's like breaking down. There are, well, this was in this type of infused, extra high, pop, go. You are correct. The quicker consumable world, we've seen it in everything. Go to your grocery store, go to your gas station, everyone. Look at the amount of door space that is given to single serve size cans, including alcohol, than is given to 6-packs. The single serve world exists, and it is legit. Can I get one more rant? I know we got to go. We're almost done. I am tired. Gas stations, they are trying to single serve us out. There is almost nothing available in gas stations these days but king size candy bars. It's almost impossible to find a standard size candy bar, and they know that. So they've kind of just moved and smushed the price points together. So you just buy Kings. I got to go out of my way every time just to buy a 1 Snickers with almonds. I got to get that 2-pack. That's like too smaller.
You actually say this because
I think about this all the time.
Dude, my girlfriend she's going to school right now. And this came up in conversation of like how, what junk food does to fucking people's bodies, and how bad, how the health crisis in America is so bad, and what is the right way to go about this. Do you think do you think that we should just give them different products to sell, or fucking, where's the answer to this type of shit, the single serving shit? Is it just it's the nature of a market or the nature of a monopoly? And
well, how do you're seeing that. Like, if you look at gas station sales, which all are about the single serve sale, right? That's what they specialize in. The single serve candy sections are now predominantly, and it's probably 1 4-foot rack, are predominantly king size. And then there's a much, much bigger section that is the, in theory, health bars. And we'll call them in theory health bars because sometimes those protein bars are heavy carbohydrates full. So the section that used to be lots of single size candy bars is now filled with a variety of different Quest bars and, Crunch bars from that Robert Irvine dude, and Gatorade bars and stuff like that. You also have seen, once again, you've seen them reflect the health stuff, like the jerky section, which is super overpriced in gas stations, but jerky continues to expand, meat snacks. So you're seeing the push, more space given to water types, right? Different bottled water types, which come and go with caffeine and electrolytes and things like that. Right now, electrolytes are super hot. Right now, sports drinks with caffeine are hot.
I'm an idiot. The truth is what better place for a single serving item than a fucking gas station? I don't really expect my gas station to now have bagels in a 6-pack but
even the grocery stores are seeing that. Most grocery stores now have gone from not just the little register coolers with some few drinks. You can usually find a cold section of a variety of single serve cans, the expanded line of the different coffee, energy drinks, and all that. Like, they have that out there. Like, they're selling to that drink and eat while you shop kind of person. I don't know what you can do, Dustin. Cannabis is like everything else, bro. They're just consuming it.
I was just going to say, I feel like a really bad consumer of our natural resources.
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of judgment. I think it's the other part. Stop shaming yourself, cannabis people. Just smoke it like you got it and have a little fun. That's the biggest point, right? Everyone's all got their, soil in it.
At least you can recycle an aluminum can. Can't.
That is a valid point. Well, whatever's inside of it, unless it's weed, is federally legal, so that's okay. We'll see what's going to happen in the future. Thank you, everyone, joining us for a cannabis news that you can use kind of episode. Dustin Kava talking a little bit of fun stuff out there, crossfading, what that's like. Give us a subscription. Got a lot of great interviews and some more fun shows coming up every single Wednesday. Brand new episodes of Because Cannabis from Wayward Media on YouTube at 4:20 p.m. on Thursdays with video on Spotify and anywhere that you listen to us socially. We'll put some links in the comments below. You can follow our social media, especially the LinkedIn and Facebook, news articles every single day about what's happening in the industry and the occasional random post. My name is BC Wayman. That is Dustin Kava.
Thank you guys for joining.
See you guys next week.